I can't remember how old I was when I heard. I don't know if a lady was talking to a younger lady or it was in a book or movie, but anyway, the older lady was saying to the younger female, while you're in your prime, take a picture of yourself. This was Polaroids. I believe she was discussing with her. Take pictures of yourself in the nude. So when you get older, you'll have something to look back at and remember where you once were at your most desirable, most uh, in shape, whatever it is. Um, I'm beginning to think that the fact that most of the entertainers that have been exposed when they were in their prime are having a hard time dealing with the fact that everybody saw them when they were in their prime, when they were at their most desirable. And their responses are always, well, most of the times quite similar. Like with Jennifer Love Hewitt, she said, stop being compared to her and her 20-year-old self, and slams her being as a young adult. Um, I'm really thinking they're having a hard time dealing with it, especially considering this is her complaining about being sick. And this was not her only cover. She's done many a covers. Some of these repeats or um, inside the magazine. But if you look and see, she was making her rounds, getting out, being seen, and hopefully getting cast into more uh, productions. She was using what she's complaining about now, her section as a young adult, but we remember how she put herself out there. Now she started somewhat youngish in her mid late teens, and this is how she got her exposure. And I think the fact that so many people have seen her, she's having a hard time coping. There's a distinct difference between having a shoebox of photos or maybe a VHS or a DVD that you created for your own personal viewing and maybe a few select individuals, but that's not the case. There is no shoebox under the dresser. It's pervasive and everywhere. And I don't think that they're able to deal with this. Let's consider how Jennifer Love Hewitt spoke in the past. When given an opportunity to speak of how she felt, she said she was proud of her 36 C's. And yes, on her frame, they were highly desirable by the viewing of men and women, boys, girls, older women, older men. But you can't be mad that you were put out there for the masses to see. And then later on, I think she was in her 30s when she did this quote. She's upset that nobody is hitting on her. So now that she's not being safe, it's a problem. It's a complaint. But here, obviously, she didn't have those type of issues. I can't remember everybody she dated, but she dated some male actors of note, sitcoms and possibly movies. And then I saw an article about Brooke Shields speaking about what happened with her as a very young adult, being put out there for everybody to see. And here she's speaking of um, her naivete at such a young age. I think 13, 14, she starred in a movie portraying a child student of Prosta. We're talking about 11 or 12, I think it was called. It might have been not Pretty Baby. I can't remember what it was called, but you can look it up. She speaks of the exploitation. Here she's talking about what happened with the Calvin Klein ads, where she said, do you know what comes between me and my Calvin? Talking about Calvin Klein jeans. She said nothing, basically saying she didn't have any bloomers on under her jeans. And at very such a young age, this caused a great deal of concern, justifiably. But with Brooke Shields and Jennifer Love Hewitt, you got to ask yourself, if Brooke Shields and Jennifer Love Hewitt are the victims and the machine, Hollywood, or what have you, are the perpetrators, who is culpable? Neither one of these individuals got in front of the cameras, in front of a room full of majority adult men. Who put them in this situation? She wants to blame the older people who are reminiscing when she was younger. And Brooke, she wants to put blame on the industry for exploiting her or having her say things that is well out of her norm of understanding. You got to say, who is at fault? Did she show up to the studios as a minor child for this ad for Calvin Klein jeans by herself? These women are putting blame on just the perpetrators when there are parents who are culpable. They hold just as much blame to the exploitation of minor children as the industry or even the general public. This response is truly out of line. If you're going to be mad, you need to be mad at everybody. And in the same breath, when you put it on X, you need to put it on Y too. The culpables. Let's take a listen to this.
And she's one of the girls that we're all waiting for to turn 18, along with the Olsen twins. Any 15-year-old
getting the job, and I didn't know. Yeah, and she was as hot as she was. Come on, that's
14.
14, she was even hotter. But I'm not allowed to say that.
Well, who is culpable? The Olsen twins, who said that we want to put our minor children in front of the camera for the whole world to see. Who agreed that this was a good idea, considering outside of a camera lens and contracts signed between the actors, the camera crew, the production company, everybody included, outside of this is frowned upon. This is illegal in most states, outside of those that say, well, if the parents agree, then it's fine for a marriage or maybe even dating. I don't know. But who signed off on this?
When we started the show, I was like 19, right?
Right.
And they're like, okay, you guys are going to be making out in this scene. And I'm like thinking like, wait, this is like slightly illegal,
say, that's
right?
probably your first kiss ever, right?
It was my first kiss. Why someone bet?
And you see how Rosie just glossed over that? Because there's a camera crew, she's supposed to be safe. Because her mom signed off on this, mom and or dad, I think it's just mom though. Because everything is in front of a camera lens, it's no problem. Oh, you were 14 and he was 19. That is frowned upon. So why? Because there's a camera and there's a room full of individuals, as if there is no time alone for that 19 and 14-year-old. Come on. Who's culpable for putting the young actress with that older male?
You made with Danny about our first kiss.
No, it wasn't the first kiss. It was like a second or third kiss.
It was the first. It was like the first week.
No, it was not the first week.
Whatever. Let me tell you what happened.
No, let me tell you what happened.
No. Okay, so I never kissed a guy. So I was so. I mean, you know, Ash was attractive, and I was a 14-year-old little girl, and I was extremely scared for my life.
Sure.
And he was very nice.
Sure. 14-year-old girl about to do a makeout scene with a 19-year-old. Sure, that's cool.
Nice about it. He was like, oh, don't worry. So I was like, okay. Then Danny goes and goes, dude, I'll give you $10 if you French kiss her. What would you stick your tongue in my mouth or some?
What? No.
For $10.
You're making it sound like it was like really. Okay, Dan, we had a little side bet going.
Yeah.
Like,
Which was?
It wasn't very
as to whether or not, you're kissing on the show or boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
You would use tongue, right, Rosie? I mean, you would use.
70 show, and you're watching In the Crease TV.
Hi, I'm Ashton Kutcher, and I'm from That 70 Show TV. No, That 70 Show too.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm doing this is not because I think In the Crease is good, but because Jock told me Mila would sit on my lap and like.
Oh, so she has no idea what she's doing on his lap. Nothing about her behavior says she's creating a situation that might be detrimental to her. You know, they're married, but we're talking about right then and there. This is cool because there's a camera.
It feels good.
So again, who is culpable for Mila's situation, 14-year-old with a quote-unquote full adult male engaged in behavior that is frowned upon outside of the camera? How's that any different than her? 17-year-olds got the whole world looking her up and down, side to side, back to front. But she wants to be upset that people are referring to when she was at her best for the largest amount of public. When she was first on the scene, she had young boys, maybe young girls. She had male and females around her age, plus she had male and females older than her looking her up and down. And she wants to be mad at the fans. Where's the heat towards your mama and or your daddy? They got you in this situation. Like the older lady said to the younger lady, she could have had Polaroids, 110s, 35 mils inside a box or a safe for her to look at when she got older, and she wouldn't have all this anger and venom. I was called sexy before I knew what being sexy was. I was 17-year-olds on the cover of Maxim, and I had no idea why. Why? You have no idea. All right, yeah. No idea. Everything popping out the top. Everything popping out the top, but you have no idea. Okay. My thing is, why do they respond like this? Why is there so much anger and venom and pearl clutching? You knew what was happening. You seen older women who were different when they were younger, and you watched them get older. What made you think you was gonna be special? You need to be mad at those people who put you in that position, not those who realize you in that position. Take a look at this. So you have a young female, an in-between female, and an older woman, older female. Shouldn't a response when, if at any time says, oh, I remember when you were such and such years old on a cover of this or in this movie, isn't this a truth that you can just point out? Yes, I used to be younger. I'm no longer that. Life, marriage, children, whatever. Things change. And I appreciate that you remember me, but this is me now, and I'm hoping that you can still continue to be a fan. I don't mind you look at the older pictures, but this is me now. Why can't that be the response? Why is it just venom, hatred, disgust, trying to make it seem like, oh, they're all pervs? Again, who put you in front of the camera for the so-called pervs to see repeatedly from different angles? Whose fault is that? I believe whoever put you in front of the camera willfully. They hold majority, not total, but a majority of the blame. It's okay. Everything ages. That little girl will at some point in time be the 20-something-ish female, and she will eventually be the older woman. But the response, because people remember her when she was in the blue tight dress, are they supposed to remember when, oh, she was the prepubescent girl? Isn't that a problem? Not necessarily when you are 18, 19, 20, 22. Isn't that what you prefer for the weirdos and pervs or whatever to remember? Or would you want them to be ooh and ah when you're the older female? They're going to be talking about the female in blue, not about the prepubescent girl or the older female. They're going to talk about majority of talk by majority of people or what the majority like to see. And responding so violently, you gain nothing. You gain nothing at all. Anyway, that's all I got. If you like what you've heard, please consider liking, subscribing, and commenting. And if you're feeling up to it, share. Thank you.